This meeting is being live streamed. Is there?
Okay.
Is it?
And do you record these on Zoom also? No.
Well, they're on Zoom. They're on Zoom, but they go to YouTube.
Okay, anyway.
This meeting is being live streamed. Okay,
Yep.
done. Good. All right. Broadcast. All right. Share screen. Where is the Shastra? Where is it? Krishna Chandra Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. Could you start, please?
Okay. Where do we? Okay. Text 4. Uh-huh.
And what
Okay.
are we reading, please, Gaura?
Sorry?
Where are we reading from?
The Sri Upadeshamrita Illuminations by Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Maharaj, text 4.
Thank you.
Shall I start with the Sanskrit?
Please.
Thank you. Dadati prati grihanati guyam akyati prichati unke hojayate chaiva satvidam priti lakshanam. Offering gifts and accepting gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence and inquiring confidentially, accepting prashada and offering prashada. These are the 6 symptoms of love shared by devotees. These are the 6 kinds of association with a sadhu. Higher association is only possible with a serving attitude. Otherwise, there is no sangha. Lower association means exploitation and enjoyment, but higher association can only be achieved through service. By proper association, the quality of your service will increase. Sadhu sangha and sadhu seva is of the utmost importance. The Gaudiya Mat stresses the importance of sadhu seva, serving the sadhu. Whatever you do by the command of the higher devotee will, through him, surely connect you with a higher conception of the absolute. Whatever you do it with that connection from above and carry out his order.
Nirhari or Bhavatrini?
You have to scroll, Gaura.
You have to scroll, Gaura. I think we messed up. Offering gifts and accepting gifts. Dadati prati grinati. We shall come to present new things to the sadhus and try to live by the old remnants left by them.
Can you
Giving
speak closer to the microphone, Prabhu?
Sound far away.
Oh, maybe it's that we put a speaker to hear you better, but maybe. Can you hear me now?
Much better.
Can you hear
Much
me better
better.
now?
Much better.
Much.
Oh, it really screws everything up.
So now we can't hear.
No.
Oh.
Can you hear me?
Loud and clear. We're just waiting.
Okay. All right. Sorry, my speaker up on the top was off. I'll begin. Dadati prati grinati. We shall come to present new things to the sadhus and try to live by the old remnants left by them. Giving something for the service of a sadhu and taking his prasadam, whatever he gives, we accept that. We can increase our attraction and love for a person in such a way by giving him raw items and by accepting his prasadam. To give items to be utilized by him and whatever is necessary for ourselves. I won't try to take anything new, but only that which has been rejected by the Vaishnava or Guru, whether it is a garland, clothes, different decorations, or whatever. We shall try to live by the remnants of the Vaishnavas. We shall present new things to the sadhus, and we shall try to live by the remnants. Tena tyaktena bhunjita. Give and take. Give and take eternally, internally and externally. Whatever my position, and you have to scroll, Gaura. Thank you. I'm taking, in taking, we get a higher thing from him. Raw materials we supply, and we get remnants from him. In this way, I can improve my position. If we accept the energy of worldly men, then generally our minds will become polluted and impure. And if the mind is impure, then the remembrance of Krishna will not be very clear.
Wow. These statements are really pregnant with meaning. I'm quite astounded
Yeah.
how he says here, we shall take nothing new, but basically we'll live on the hand-me-downs, the prasad, the clothing, the remnants of the other devotees. That's quite austere, isn't it?
No, look how well Prabhupada used to feed us so well. I mean, in general, well, sometimes we did not have things. Well, in the temple, sometimes like Vrindavan was so austere. Or when we began in Buenos Aires, sometimes we had a lot of things donated. And at times we only have one item. And we use all our money just for rent and books and like that.
Well, I'm thinking myself, when I would get a new dhoti or a new kurta or a new pair of dhotis and kurtas as a brahmachari, it was like cause for celebration. Wow. But
Yeah.
but the concept that's being presented here is no, you don't take anything new. You shouldn't be happy. I'm not that you shouldn't be happy about getting anything new, but everything is you only take that which is rejected by the Vaishnava.
Noticing that.
Yeah, I noticed.
That's
But
a high.
yeah, but I noticed every year on Gaur
Dinesh
Purnima.
Prabhu, Prabhu has his hand up. Prabhu, please. Dinesh,
Yeah, while you were reading this, it's occurring to me that this is possible in that culture, but the way devotees, where everybody's scattered around their little household, we don't have that culture, and it's very difficult to practice it. And I'd like to hear the devotees' comments about that.
okay, your voice is still going a little in and out. I don't know why, but anyhow, yeah, Baba
My
Trini.
bandwidth. Is that better now?
I can't tell. I can't tell.
Is it now?
No, it sounds like it's about
Put on
this.
my notebook. I'm
When
using desktop. I can't use this.
when you
My
speak,
notebook.
it's distorted. It's very loud, but then the signal fades into the background. So it goes one extreme to the next. Anyway, Dineshwar Prabhu is asking for other comments on this. Nurhari, Bavatrini, Nandapatni, does anyone have something else they'd like to contribute?
Yeah, Daneshwar, I think it was him that he mentioned is a cultural thing.
Right.
But I noticed that in the Gaudiya Math, and at least in Srinaram, it was very traditional that during Gaur Purnim, all the sannyasis were given new cloth, by the guru, and including the renunciate ladies were given cloth. So that seemed to me a tradition then. And it makes you wonder, doesn't it, like using only, but since we are under guidance, I don't know, it's a difficult one to understand or reconcile.
Would it mean that the remnants are also whatever the guru gives you? Because he's saying don't use anything new, but many times, Srila Prabhupada, he gave a cloth to the one that used to be Prabhupada Das.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's an ashram that my father-in-law's spiritual master has, and one of their services is giving cloth to the sadhus. And then Narayan Maharaj didn't just give cloth to the renunciates. When there was a big celebration and festival, he'd give everyone participating a new sari or dhoti. That was, he did give all everything.
The main point that's being made here is the dadati pratigrinati, giving and taking. It's a give and it's a take.
Yeah.
And
Well, I
also
guess, yeah.
receiving remnants. So I was thinking that they're like spiritual touchstones, because we give him, he said, raw and new, and they're giving us prasadam.
Uh-huh.
So that's the valuable thing for the world, most valuable thing for devotees.
It's we'd much rather get the old used thing by the acharya than something fresh and brand new.
Yeah,
Yes.
me too. I love to.
Yes.
Okay, can you hear me better now?
Uh,
Yes.
Yeah, well, I can't unless you speak for a while. We don't know if it's going to go.
Okay, is it better now? I'm using my notebook now.
It's super loud. It's really loud.
Okay, how about now?
It's much better.
Okay. I don't know if you heard my question before, but I was saying that it seems to me that this is difficult to do in the culture that most devotees are living in now, because we're living for the most part in the dominant culture. We don't have such association. As Nrihari was just saying about, having a temple to go to. Here in Alachua, I'm banned from the temple. So again, my point is that it seems to be a cultural
Phenomena.
yeah, it's difficult now to do that in the culture that most devotees live in. And so I was inquiring what suggestions would be there in that regard from anybody.
Well, I'm also remembering, I'm sorry, I didn't raise my hand. If anybody else wants to comment.
You started already, so just finish your point.
Okay, I was remembering the photo of the welcome of the Marquis of Zetland by Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, and all his disciples are wearing, especially Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Maharaj is next to him or very close to him, and he's wearing a black suit. All the sannyasis are wearing, or brahmacharis are wearing suits with turbans, black. And so, it's always like that. I think the acharya is the one that dictates, what's the rule, I think. But the concept of, yes, we should give everything new and accept remnants is very ancient, and it was done in the times of Lord Krishna.
But I think Dineshwar Prabhu's point is, what about today? Is that right, Dineshwar? How is this?
Yeah, exactly. That, the culture that we're living in now, we don't have that opportunity. Where do I go? Where's the sadhu that I take new things to, or, receive his remnants from? Many devotees are in such a situation. So how do we do this in today's culture?
Yeah.
I've heard people doing this. Anyway, I should put my hand up before I speak. I'll try to be a better example here. Where's the hand thing? I can't see it. I guess you can only do that when you have the screen shut off. Okay. I'll put my hand up. Is my hand up? Okay, good. Yeah, I just wanted to comment and say, I've seen Indian, members of our Indian congregation bringing a sari, not just on Radhashtami, but bringing a dhoti, bringing a sari, or in India, it's a tradition, right, Shikarani? People come to the mandir and they bring gifts of clothing to the
Yeah,
deity.
but again, my point is, what mandir? Many devotees don't live near a mandir. They don't have the opportunity to do that. How so?
How about in their
Again,
home? Why not to a picture in their home? They can't do that?
well, my point is that devotees are all over the place now. They may not be near a temple. What we're reading from, they had a very well-established culture where they could do those things. And it was very easy, but it's not easy today. As some devotees do happen, have the good fortune to live near a temple, but many do not.
Yeah, I'm one of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're a very good example. So how do you do that?
I don't. But you got me thinking. I'm thinking, well, I've got a little altar here with pictures, but I just buy hand-me-down clothes anyway. Whenever I go, if I ever need something, I just go to a used thrift store. I buy everything hand-me-down.
Yeah, but it's about what are okay, you have some opportunity to give something to a sadhu someplace.
Right.
Um, you're not associating with ISKCON, so what sadhu there? Or are there any sadhus, or how do we carry this out? That's my question.
Yeah. My only answer is, well, I can offer to, because the picture or the deity at home is also the Lord. I can offer to the Lord, but or to Prabhupada on the altar. I can't think of anything else.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, that's one answer. That's what I do. I put it, whatever I get new, I put it on the altar.
That's nice. Nirhari Prabhu or Bavatrini, you had your hands up.
Yes, it was pretty much along the lines of what you were saying, Gaura and Daneshwar. I mean, yeah, we live, our culture is so different. But also, I mean, if we follow strictly this, what we just read, even in India, I mean, you got ashrams where there's like, a couple of hundred devotees. I don't think the guru uses that many devotees or in order to clothe everybody and like that. So I think the main thing is the intention that whatever we are going to use or take as we should take prasadam or honor prasadam, and the rest we have to adapt. I mean,
Now, Hush has a point he wants to make. Haribol.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, I think I came in a little bit late, but on this point, I want to say that it's about doing what we can for the devotees, whether it's offering service or if you have a small donation or something, if somebody's holding a house program, um or bringing boga that they can use for their offering. I think it's the principle of giving to the Vaishnavas. I mean, you guys know this already. I don't know. I was just trying to make a point, but yeah, in India it is practiced. The even in weddings, most people give cloth and then have to get a tailor made, outfits. But it's just the principle of giving, and so I mean, in the Western world we do have like different structure and everything. So maybe it's offering some service or helping out cleaning the pots. But I think it can be substituted. Is my point. That's all.
I see. Okay, thank you. All right. So Krishna Chandra's read. Daneshwar's read. Somehow or other, you're appearing before Daneshwar. So okay, so you read next, Nahush, I guess. And wait a minute.
Sikarani is next.
Okay, because excuse me, Nirhari read, but Bavatrini did not read. Then Sikarani. Yeah. Bavatrini, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. I need to get my glasses on. Just a minute. Am I unmuted? Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, I'm just looking for my glasses. I got them.
Oh, well, okay.
I have my glasses. Okay, where do I start? At the Bengali or
Yeah.
Vishayara Anakab Kaile Mama Haya Mama Malina Mama Halena Hai Krishnera Smarana. If one eats the food of a materialist, one's mind becomes polluted. When the mind becomes polluted, one cannot remember Krishna. Chaitanya Charitamrita Antya, Leela 6278. When I accept the elaborate energy of a materialist, then the poison of his mind comes with his energy, with his money and all these things. The energy comes carrying the mentality of the owner. To accept, that means to digest that. But one who is able to digest it can utilize it. The Vishaya Visham Asadam, poison, is medicine to poison. Poison can also be utilized as medicine. The divine agent can utilize poison as nectar. Otherwise, it will kill the person who is taking the energy of the materialist.
So just before class, I was hearing Atul Krishna Prabhu's commentary on this, and he was saying if we use the donations of that we receive from a person, but we use it for our own personal sense gratification, then we will become contaminated from the sinful reactions that were performed in accruing that money. So that money must be that fund, that Lakshmi, it must be placed at the lotus feet of the Lord. We must ensure that, otherwise we'll get reactions from that. Any comments on that before Shikarani takes over? Or is that self-explanatory? Okay. Shikarani?
Yeah,
Shikarani?
sure. Yes. Yeah.
Take your time.
Only
I know you're speedy. I know you're a speed reader. So, but just try to read a little slower than you usually do, because otherwise it just goes. This goes over my head. I find it's very deep, and I have to think a little bit more.
sure,
Please,
sure.
thank you.
Only Madhukari Bhiksha collecting from a particular person will take away his sin or virtue. Anything that comes with his energy is transmitted. We are feeding on him, exploiting him, and that exploitation must have a reaction. Madhukar, just as bees collect every particle of honey from here and there, they do not care so much, they do not look to get any return for that. A small particle, perhaps, it doesn't matter. If we collect our food in that way, when there is no possibility of some reaction coming, Madhukari Bhiksha has been recommended for the Tyagis. But we got dear much people collect their energy as much as we can utilize. Our aim is a little different. We want to help them and we do not collect it for our personal purpose. It is for the general service of the Lord and his devotees. In an organic way, we help them. We will use the energy from impure sources and by hook or by crook utilize that in the fire sacrifice that is lit in a grand way for the satisfaction of Krishna and his activity. What is that activity? The chanting of his name on a big scale. Sankirtana Yagna, a great sacrificial organic attempt, has been accepted, and we are to collect things for that. And because I am also rendering home service, as remuneration, I may take something. For the purpose of service, I am to maintain my health, and I shall take only what is necessary. This is Yukta Vairagya. We are not taking anything for our personal utilization. So we do not feed feel any contamination. One will suffer if he collects another's energy for his own selfish purpose. But if he can utilize the energy of someone for the service of Krishna in the congregational chanting of his name to purify the whole world, then there is no apprehension of being contaminated by that energy.
Whatever we receive, we should think it is from our Guru. I am eating the remnants of my Guru Dev. I am doing some service, and as a servant, I am entitled to take some remains. Tena tyaktena bunjita magritha kasya svidanam. I'm trying to remember what verse is that coming from. Tena tyaktena bunjita magritha kasya svidanam.
I
What
think
verse?
she's Upanishad, Prabhu.
Oh yes, right. Right, thank you. We have no greed for others' property, but it is all being utilized for their benefit in the Sankirtan Yagya. And as a servant, I have some duty to discharge. Therefore, I am to keep my body fit. And for that purpose, I am taking the avashesha, remnants. Tvayo pabukta shraganda vasolankara charchitaha uchishta bojino dasas tavamayam jayemahi. So this is from the Bhagavatam, 11th Canto, 6th chapter, 46th verse. By decorating ourselves with the garlands, scents, clothes, and ornaments that you have already enjoyed, and by eating the remnants of your food, we, your servants, will certainly conquer your illusory potency. So all the names are all mixed up now. So I don't, Daneshwar, I think you were after me, but not now. Nahush is, and then Sikarani's after him.
Krishna
It's
Chandra, I think, is next. Or did he come after me? I don't know.
actually Krishna Chandra. I think you came. You were, yeah. You're the first to read after I sang the song. Go ahead, Krishna Chandra.
Thank you, Prabhu. Uddhava says that there are ways of getting out of this Mayika entanglement. Only by honoring your remnants can we conquer Maya. I am grateful to you and no one else in this world. I am your servant, and we must live on the remains after you have taken. Thereby, by this single attempt, we can conquer the whole world. There is no glamour for anything in this world for us. That is the nature of the attempt of this organized preaching of the Gaudiya Mat. You can even accept a kingdom, but not for yourself, but for God. And from whomever they take, he is benefited. With this angle of vision, we will be individually responsible for our transaction with the outside parties. When something is dedicated for the service of Krishna, it is a conscious unit. Will a man allow his wife to serve another gentleman? Will she allow? Everything is meant for Krishna consciousness and not for any other consciousness, only for him. Everything here is exclusively meant for Krishna and no other God. We are not materialists. Everything is conscious and fresh, and no other spirit is allowed except to fully dedicate oneself to the Lord. It is such. Every flower born here is only to satisfy Krishna. Radharani will curse us if we try to utilize it for the service of others. They are all meant for this. They will curse us. Here in the temple also, trespassers may pluck flowers for medicinal purposes. They will take some things, but it pains my heart. They are all meant for the service of Krishna. For medical purposes, some people may take a root or something. I ask them, go to Mahaprabhu, take his permission, then take it. If it is necessary and it cannot be avoided, then I tell them, go. You get his permission first.
Anyone have any comment on this before we move on? Hush, you're in my picture frame. You're next. Sikarani and then Daneshwar.
No, I'm next.
Okay, as you like.
I mean, that's the order that we did before.
I understand. It's just things keep changing here, so I can't keep track. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Once I heard at the Yogapeeth, the appearance place of Mahaprabhu, there was one Kandama tree. At that time, Prabhupada was coming out to go to Calcutta, and one devotee said, "A new flower has come on the Kandama tree. It has not been given to Prabhupada." He took a flower and ran towards the car of Prabhupada. Prabhupada asked, "What is this?" "A new flower from the Yogapeeth temple tree." "A new flower? We have come to show you, Prabhupada, and we shall give to Mahaprabhu. Then go and show it to
Then go.
Mahaprabhu. Take his permission and then bring to me. I am going away now. If I was staying, you could put it in my hand and I could show him. But I am going away. Now you go. Now go and show him and then bring it to me. You have got to take his permission. That is prasad, anugraha, dedicated. To show him is to dedicate. Then we take the prasad. He is our shelter. This is the key to our life. Tena tiktena. After offering to him, then you use it.
Beautiful. Nahush Prabhu. Nahush,
Yeah. So it's one of those Sanskrit.
please.
Yagya Shishta Yagya Shishta Shishna Shanto Uchante Sarvakil Vishay Punjate Te Kang Papa Ye Pachante Atma Karanat. Stately persons are liberated from all types of sins by accepting the remnants of foodstuffs offered in sacrifice. However, those who cook for themselves eat only sin. Bhagavad Gita 3:13. Whenever you dedicate anything to your own self, you create sin. You create disharmony in the environment. But if you offer it to the center, yagya, to Vishnu, then you use then and then you use harmony is maintained. Everything is created to serve Krishna. Everything. You must dedicate anything and everything to him, and then you can take prasad remaining. Ishvasyam idam sarvam. Everywhere, everything is in the possession of the supreme entity. Everything belongs to him. There should be no disturbance to the law and order. The law and order of the whole should be kept intact. You live here as a loyal subject. You all live as loyal subjects, not illegal, physically or even mentally. Thought, word, and deed, you must be a loyal subject in this kingdom of the Lord. That is what is required from us. Then there is peace and harmony and no reaction. Otherwise, there will be reaction and you will have to suffer for that.
Sikarani.
Yeah. One second. I think my phone is slow. Yeah, now I can see. Revealing one's mind and inquiring confidentially. Gohyam Akhyati. I should reveal my innermost feelings to the sadhu. From my innermost heart, I feel these many particular things within myself. Are these feelings good or bad? And if bad, what is the remedy? We shall place our inner heart before him so that he may examine us and proceed accordingly. Whatever the innermost feelings is, that should be diverged to a sadhu. I must reveal everything of my entire heart to him and also hear what is conceived within his heart. The private things within my heart must be disclosed, and I must acquire the private things within his heart. I shall inquire about the inner wealth within his heart. Prachati, inquiry. We will ask his advice and put questions which are necessary for me at this stage. What is the secret of your holy life? Please tell me, and I shall try to follow that example in order to get out of my present circumstances. In your case, how did you gain relief? We shall try to collect the secrets for success in life from a sadhu. Tad vidhi pranipatena परिप्रशेन सेवाय उपदेक्ष्यांति ते ज्ञानम यानिनास्तत्वदर्शिना. Such knowledge should be achieved through submission, inquiry, and service to those who are wise and have seen the supreme truth.
Pariprash,
Mm.
Pariprashna. Honest, sincere inquiry is always allowed, but not with the tendency towards tarka, argument. Not with argument. All our efforts should be concentrated to understand in a positive line without leaving a state of doubt or suspicion. With all attention, you shall try to understand because it is coming from a higher source where I am not known. Pariprashna will be the outcome of surrender. I am hopeless. I can't ascertain the truth. It is a dire necessity for me, but I can't help myself. With this hankering, and with no hope of any remedy, I shall most humbly try and start to inquire modestly. I shall try to know, what is this? What is that? What is the meaning? The mood should not be that I shall finish knowing about this matter. That sort of attitude will not allow us to enter into the real domain, nor should we inquire simply out of curiosity or a desire for philosophical mastership or anything of that kind. Its only necessity is for the satisfaction of the Lord. Reality is by itself and for itself. Daneshwar Prabhu, what do you think that means? Reality is by itself and for itself.
I'm not entirely clear, actually. For reality is for itself. Somebody has to tell me.
Nirhari?
Well, itself is Krishna. So Krishna's reality by itself doesn't need anything else, and it's for
Krishna
itself.
Chandra has his hand up.
Oh, I'm
Yes, Prabhu.
I know in a lot of Sridhar Maharaj's publications, he calls Krishna reality the beautiful. So
Right.
I figured you must be referring to Krishna.
Well, sure.
Well, if you read the next sentence,
It must be for himself. For his interest, this prashna, inquiry, is necessary. Inquiry should be made only to satisfy Krishna and the devotees of Krishna, for his cause, not for my cause. It is independent of his satisfaction. Not for my cause if it is independent of his satisfaction.
right.
In other words, not to have any other agenda in asking questions. Krishna Chandra, your turn, Prabhu.
Just in answer to your last
Yeah.
question, the cap itself is capitalized and himself is capitalized. So
Right.
on that basis, take it to mean Krishna.
Yeah, and then that's what I said. I mean, if you keep reading on, you see, it must be for himself. But like
No, I figured it was for
Mahabodhi,
Krishna.
yeah, like Mahabodhi was saying, Sridhar Maharaj calls Krishna reality, the beautiful.
I just had never heard this put it in this in this type of phrase. I've never heard it put this before. Like this, reality is by itself, for itself, and it must be for himself. Interesting. Krishna Chandra Prabhu.
Another most important thing is that it is also necessary for service. Service is the only important thing. What is necessary? What will be necessary to render proper service? That sort of pariprashna is required. A dire necessity for service, for discharging my duty. I want to serve the cause, not to lord it over. If the spirit within is to lord it over, everything will be spoiled. It is not a plane of us being masters. It is not something that we can use according to our whim. We are putting ourselves into the fire. What I am, what will vanish, and from within my higher divine self will come out. What am I presently is a nasty thing, but what is within me, that is divine and noble. With this hope we shall go.
I'm sorry, Nuhari and Baba Trini, I didn't see you in the lineup there, and I skipped over you by mistake. I'm sorry. Would you two like to read, please?
I'm offended, bro. No, I'm teasing.
No, I'm Daryl.
No problem. No problem. So, giving and accepting prashad. Where are we?
Yep, giving and accepting prasadam.
Okay. Oh, you jumped. You moved it. Bhunte, to feel the sadhu and supply what is necessary to keep up his life, and bojayate, receiving prasadam from him. That is, what is prasadam? Prasadam is the grace of Krishna, the will of Krishna. Whatever comes from the infinite should be considered as grace. And whatever we do should be with the spirit of service, not with the result of trade. Nasa Britya Savai Banik. We shall do anything and everything with the aim of serving the infinite. With clean hands, we shall do his work. With clean hands, not contaminated by any consequence. Service and prasad are corresponding. Whatever comes from the infinite environment, that is prasad, grace.
You want to read the next section? I just like to comment briefly. Nasa Britya Savai Vanik. I think that's a statement by Prahlad Maharaj when Lord Nrsingadev asks him, "So you've done so much for my service. But what can I do for you?" And Prahlad Maharaj says, "I would be a vanik. I'd be a businessman if I asked anything from you." I think it's coming from there, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you're right. So you skipping now the whole other paragraph there?
No, I'm just lining it up.
Oh, okay. Shall I read or about Trini's turn?
Yeah.
Once Professor Sanjal, who wrote the English book Sri Krishna Chaitanya, was challenged by his younger brother, who was perhaps a graduate. He told him, "What do you do there is in your mat? What do you do there in your mat? What we do, you also do in the mat." No, we don't do that. What you do. You do not eat? No, we don't eat. I have seen you with my own eyes. You are eating. No, we don't eat like you, devouring solid things, putting into the stomach. We don't do that. We serve Mahaprasadam.
Interesting.
They asked Narasimha Maharaj one time, said, "I never ate anything." And the devotees are all like, "What?" In my entire life, I never ate anything. I said, "Oh," the devotees are all perplexed. And so he said, "I honor prasadam. I serve prasadam. I serve harikatha. I serve nam. When I chant, I serve nam."
Nice. So Nanda Patni, I guess you're still not reading.
Well, Bhatrini didn't read.
Okay, please, Bavatrini.
Okay. It is beyond your understanding what we do. We don't eat like you. There is no spirit of consumption. We don't consume anything. We honor the remnants of the Lord. That is what we do. Such will be the difference from all the activities of the true Vaishnava and the worldly man. For self-preservation, we create havoc in the environment, exploitation. The first principle of exploitation begins with self-preservation. That means eating. If we can solve that problem, we can almost solve everything. Prashada seva kariti hoy sakala prapancha jaya. By honoring the Lord's prasadam, I conquer all worldly illusion. Sharanagati 3:5. Bhakti Vinod Thakur says that the key to the solution to this mundane life is in prasadam. It is our attitude in dealing with the environment, in the most primitive necessity that we can't avoid maintaining and keeping this body and soul together. The first necessity in life is this. And if we can solve that problem, I have solved the whole thing. Prashada karite hoya sakala prapancha jaya. The most important problem is to learn how we should take prasadam to maintain our own self. Our life depends mainly on prapanchana jaya, conquering over worldly illusion. We cannot but consume. We cannot but create devastation in the environment by eating whatever, either creeper or grass or seed or anything. Microscopic worms are being killed. How to get rid of this karmika reaction? Jai.
We're almost at the end, so maybe just read a paragraph each. Yagyartat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhana. All activities are meant for the sake of sacrifice to Vishnu. Other than that, all other activities bind one to this material world. Krishna Chandra.
We must successfully connect our activities with the supreme satisfaction, for which everything is meant. All existence is meant to fulfill his pleasure, and if one does so, then his life will be fulfilled. If I offer something, really, I am to collect something for his satisfaction and cook and offer it to him. That should be the real purpose. And then, because I am to serve him, I must take something out of that. The main thing will be to collect things, to cook, and to offer them to him according to the scriptures where he has expressed his will. That is the process. And then to take. When he takes, then the reaction, the poison, has already gone to him. And like Mahadev, he can digest anything. Not only that, but whatever has gone to his connection gets promotion. There is no himsa, violence. Himsa is not himsa because that which is apparently violently treated gets higher promotion through my actions. I get some reward for that. I get some reward also for that. And then what shall I take? I won't take from this world, but I shall take from my master as his free grace to me.
Okay, it looks like Daneshwar disappeared, and it looks like Sikarani has disappeared. So we're just three of us reading now, since Nanda Patni is doing something behind the scenes. So it's back.
Dineshwar sent a message that he had to leave early while we were reading.
Okay, so thank you. So Bhavatrini in your hurry, please.
By pure, she's busy.
Okay, you move this.
I didn't.
Okay. So we start where the word prasad means anugraha.
Yeah.
Okay. The word prasad means anugraha, kindness or grace. Whatever service I do, I expect nothing in return. And what I get is his grace. a free transaction. I shall take prasad, then I shall be out of all entanglement, although I am in the midst of it. In every action, I disturb the environment, but it is meant for him. Then there is no reaction. But the opposite reaction occurs, and it will save others also. Through me, such waves will emanate outside. Those waves will help others also to be purified. Everyone must be a purifying agent through the godliness, and it is in their hearts. God is on the throne of the heart, and thereby he will emanate a ray, such a fine ray that will purify the environment.
Pavatrini.
You did
I
something.
moved
Oh, I got it.
amendments.
Okay.
It is.
Self-surrender to the prime cause. Is that
Yes.
where I start? Okay. Self-surrender to the prime cause. Sadvidam priti lakshanam. There are 6 ways that we generally attain association of a sadhu. If we follow these guidelines, we shall come closer to a person. If we deal in these ways with a bad man, we shall become bad, and with a good man, we shall become good. There are 2 types of water, filtered and filthy. Filthy water can be purified. The higher sadhus can take evil thoughts from others without becoming contaminated. In their hearts resides Govinda. Govinda is infinite, and he can consume any quantity of filthy things. Therefore, their hearts cannot be contaminated.
Nandapatni, you look like you're available to read.
Yeah, I dived back in.
Okay, since we all did so much reading, why don't you read too?
Okay. If we get the association of a real sadhu, even for a moment, then that may turn the direction of our life. I can definitely speak to that. A sadhu is like a very valuable gem. What he gives is far more valuable than anything in this world. One may have gems, diamonds, money, or a kingdom, but they're not valuable at all. This is all mortal, even though they may be valuable to a particular class of human thought. There are so many things in creation that are nothing to a sadhu, but anandam, sweetness, has a general value. It's necessary even for the tree, the creeper, and even the stone. In whatever position the seeker may be in, he will be highly satisfied. Yasmin prapti sarvamidam praptam bhavati. If we get a little of that, we think that no other thing but this can satisfy me. This is the thing for which I've been striving after so many lives together. Now I've found the object of my search. We can find higher things only through the connection of service. If we want the association of things of a higher type, then we must offer ourselves to their service. We must keep this broad thought always in mind. I cannot utilize it as if it is my servant, but I shall offer to be a servant of him if I really want his association. Only through service can I be connected with him. I shall work for his interest. His interest will be more valuable than that of mine.
Jivara Surupoi Krishnara Nitya Das Krishnara Tatashta Shakti Beda Beda Prakash. The constitutional position of the living entity is an eternal servant of Krishna because the living entity is of the marginal potency of Krishna. His manifestation is simultaneously one with and different from him. That's a quote from Madhya 20:108. Krishna Chandra, Prabhu.
It is our fortune that we, in our constitutional position, have the position of a slave to Krishna. Slavery. Those who are free would be astounded to hear this word, slavery. The Gaudiya Math is preaching slavery. The Ramakrishna Mission and others preached against Gaudiya Math. They are preaching slavery. This Gaudiya Math promotes slave mentality, that I am Krishna Das, a servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord. That means they are preaching slave mentality. And we are preaching Soham. We are the big Brahman. We are the biggest. We are the greatest. Instead of that, the Gaudiya Math says, you are a slave to Krishna. The Gaudiya Math is creating a bad impression in society, discouraging people. Prabhupada told, Gaudiya Math stands for the dignity of the human race. The whole human race wants immortality. Gaudiya Math stands for the most dignified position, slavery, surrender. Surrender to what? To the absolute good, to the absolute center. To become the slave of Krishna is not a joke. That impossible thought that I am Brahman, that is the greatest disease. I am the biggest and I want to be the monarch of all I survey means I am the most heinous exploiting agent. We are so eager to get imperial service. We are so eager to get a higher service in the administration, but to get service in the highest management of the Supreme Lord, that is the most dignified thing. The Gaudiya Math stands for the dignity of the human race. What is the human race? They are like the mist, like the trees, creepers, and worms, the prey of death. The king will also have to die helplessly. The big general, the politician, all will have to go and face death for eternity. But the Gaudiya Math stands for the eternal dignified position, friendly service to the supreme entity. The Gaudiya Math says complete self-abnegation, self-surrender to the prime cause. To give is divine, and the aspiration that I get that is devilish. I want to lord it
No,
over
I
every...
can't.
Sorry.
Hold on. You made a mistake. I'm sorry.
Did I make... I'm so sorry, Prabhu. What did I do?
You said I get that. No, it's to give is divine and the act.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I apologize, Prabhu.
Yeah, just the meaning was lost.
Oh,
I just stop you
I'm
so that
just-
we didn't lose the meaning.
I'm sorry, Prabhu.
Okay.
To give is divine, and the aspiration that I can get, that is devilish. I want to lord it over everything. That is a devilish spirit. But Krishna is such that slavery to him is the highest attainment for us in his relationship. That is not easily achieved.
Wow. It's like listening to a symphony, isn't it?
It's wonderful.
What do you think, Nandapatni?
Why do you have the video?
Because we're like,
Yes, I think, you know, his style of writing really warrants that we do read it slowly because it has a certain kind of lilt to it. His sentences are very kind of short, and the way he, you know, is describing reality and the philosophy, it's very, very unique. So I think it's very good that we're reading it slowly. I mean, the point he keeps making about not twisting the situation for our own gratification.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he just keeps repeating and repeating this.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, you know, we've seen how subtle that can be. You know, the what is it? The pratishta. You know, it's the, you know, when you think you're really clever with the philosophy, or even that example that you've discussed sometimes, where a person is doing kirtan, but they're actually doing it for their own enjoyment. You know,
I wonder if the girls like this one.
it's pretty subtle and unsubtle. I mean, it can be very unsubtle. It can be a total cringe, you know, when you see it going on. But yeah, I mean, it, obviously, Sridhar Maharaj is saying it can't be emphasized enough, you know, cannot be emphasized enough.
Yes, Nirhari, Bhavatrini, do you have any? I've collected a bunch of thoughts on this, but I wanted to honor all of you first to hear from all of you before I share anything that I collected. Did anything stand out for you from what we read? I mean, there was so much. I feel I would need to read this 2 or 3 times. First of all, this is the first time I'm ever reading this, whereas I've read Prabhupada's Nectar of Instruction several times, and I'm more familiar. So I feel like I'm entering into like new. It's like a new part of the forest, or
Oh, yeah,
yeah,
yeah, absolutely.
uncharted waters. If familiar concepts, but put in a very poetic way that's very relishable.
Mhm.
I think it's just us three for now. I suspect they lost their connection abruptly because they never said goodbye.
we're here. We're here.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I just saw Zoom user. I
Yeah,
apologize.
no, because we just see your black box tonight, so it's hard to tell if you're there or not there.
You're holding it so you can turn on.
Yeah, he was a little disorienting tonight because I'm always used to seeing you for. Oh, there you are.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I was used to seeing you for, but tonight you were a black box.
Sorry. We're so
I-
the light. I think Nagapatni, you know, she nailed it pretty much. And but like you're saying, it's a form of how he expresses himself is very unique, as much as Prabhupada's is very unique.
Mm.
And with Bhadrini, we get sent lectures or little excerpts that each from Sridhar Maharaj, of course, Srila Prabhupada all the time, Sridhar Maharaj, and Gorgovinda Maharaj, Srinarayan Maharaj, Srila Gorgovinda Maharaj, and we look at each other, we read to each other, and we look at each other. Who said this? And by now we got it. There's some keywords, some expressions that we can always tell. Is oh, that's Sridhar Maharaj. You know how he expresses it, and it's really amazing. It's really wonderful. It's like different flavors. So it's all ice cream, you know. Of course, you know we all love it, but it's different flavors.
Well, that's true. Even with not that I'm, you know, really too familiar, but it makes sense with the different Goswamis as well.
Yes,
because each is so utterly unique.
Mm-hmm. Yes. The thought that came to my mind as you spoke that, Nandapatni. I'm sorry for giving a mundane analogy here. It just shows you how mundane I am. I never became a connoisseur of fine wines, but I'm thinking a real wine connoisseur, you know, they'll be able to like relish, oh, this is Burgundy from 17 such and such, you know. So I'm just thinking as one becomes a connoisseur of Vaishnav philosophy, then you could come. I'm definitely not there myself, but as you read the words of Sanatana Goswami, you see his heart and its uniqueness and the flavor compared to Jiva Goswami, compared to Raghunath Das Goswami, compared to Rupa Goswami. But then, of course, it gets filtered through the translators as well. I don't know how much is lost when
Yeah.
Nonetheless, you do actually, then you come to all these layered understandings of, who they are in the spiritual world. So like Prabodhananda, Saraswati, etc., and Raghunath Das Goswami. So, you come to these, it's revealed to you through the scripture who they are and everything. So these are the wonderful things that we can get to meditate on. And of course, we still, I was trying to rattle my brain last night as to how many Bhagavad Gita shlokas I could remember. So we don't turn away from the battlefield or destruction or anything. Yeah.
I have a bunch of points I want to share now. Is it okay? Can I, or shall I?
Yeah. Can I do a little short because it's like pertaining?
Okay. I don't know how much.
Okay. Really short. Last night we subscribed to Indradyumna Maharaj's lectures, and especially we like to hear. He has a new one. The series is Orissa, but the series of Vrindavan. So last night he was speaking about Tungavidya and describes her according to different scriptures by the six Goswamis and Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. So Maharaj at one point he says, and Srila Prabhupada in the sixth canto, he has a purport, the verse, and he reads exactly the quote where Prabhupada said, it will do good to the student to read the commentaries of Vishwanath, and it names all the six Goswamis. He said there are so many, they're almost innumerable. Not really, but I was just telling you, there's about 36 bona fide commentaries of Srimad Bhagavatam. So
Wow.
Prabhupada encourages us. Srila Prabhupada, in that purpose, encourage us to do so. He said it'll add on to the relishment. Really, I swear. I was trying today to find it, but we run out of time and all that. But the precise quote, but I will get it today and I'll note it. It's in Srimad Bhagavatam. It's a comment by Srila Prabhupada.
Wow.
So, just to finish that, our God brother Uttama Sloka Prabhu, he's actually kindly listed all those quotes throughout the whole CC and the Bhagavatam. Yeah, where Prabhupada is encouraging that. Yeah, in his own quiet way,
Right.
I just read someone posted a letter or a conversation with Srila Prabhupada, and they said, Prabhupada, so I'm told we shouldn't read any other books except your books. He said, I never said that. Who is saying this? I just
the point being that Prabhupada said different things in different contexts, so we always have to see context in which Prabhupada is speaking.
Yeah.
Like the lecture in Melbourne, Prabhupada says we fell from the spiritual sky, and we are working towards it again, back to Godhead. And in another spot, he says, "Oh, we're tatasta, marginal energy," and like that. So Srinarai Maharaj pointed out to several other instances. So he said it's always then very important to have higher devotees. So the acharyas are the comments to come to that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
fire away, Gaura. I know you had your.
I'm really curious what you're going to say, Gaura.
All right.
Sorry, yes.
Fire one.
Okay, well, as we all know, Srila Prabhupada told Mahabudhi Prabhu, he said to him, will you repeat this verse? Tesham satata yuktanam bachatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamam upar yantite. And Mahabudhi said to Srila Prabhupada, yes, Srila Prabhupada, I will repeat this verse. And the Prabhupada said, every day? And he said, yes, Prabhupada.
So horrible.
So the first point is, dadati pratigrinati, so tesham Satata Yuktanam Bhajatam Priti Purvakam. The Dharmi, it's there. That Krishna is giving the Buddhi. Krishna is giving. This is one example of the act of giving. Krishna is giving. Krishna is always giving to us, but he also gave me the brain to go on into Zoom so I could capture all of you, so I could have your association.
Chaita Guru, Chaita Guru.
Ah, yes.
Okay, so yes, Priti Lakshanam. Lakshanam means symptoms. These are points made by Burijan Prabhu, who set up the Vaishnav Institute of Higher Education in Vrindavan. And Priti, we know, means love. And he was saying, the first four verses of the Nectar of the Shri Upadeshamrita, they're in bundles of six. Vatsyovegang, Manasa, Krodavegam, the six that we have to control, and then the six that we have to, that will hinder our devotional service, and then there's the six that will make us successful, and now we're reading the six that help us to cultivate love. So he was saying, we are social beings. We are social beings naturally. And if we don't know how to associate with devotees, we won't be able to follow the rules and regulations. And another point being that if we don't associate, because we are social beings, well, then we'll go and look for karmis to associate with if we don't associate with the devotees. So I live in a building here with 7 people who all eat animals, and they're drugged and stoned and drunk, and so I'm very grateful that I've got your associate. Not that I have any interest in getting drunk or stoned, but I'm just saying it can get pretty dry. So Burijan Prabhu was making the point that this verse, the Dati Pratigurnanati, this is the purpose of ISKCON. That this is the essence of ISKCON. And he was saying that devotees will not feel satisfied without affection, without affectionate dealings, without feeling affection from others, and without giving affection, will not be satisfied. I mean, I noticed that in the Brahmachari ashram. When I was like on my 10th year of trying to be as strict and staunch brahmachari as I could, I noticed it was difficult to feel that kind of closeness with the other men, because there was always kind of a one-upmanship and even enviousness sometimes existing between them. It's difficult to find, in our own gender. Like, even sometimes I found it difficult even for the ladies to associate with each other. I remember, I'd meet, some nice men or nice ladies on the street. I'd bring them back to the temple, and I'd be trying to find a Mataji, a god sister, to take care of a brand new bhaktin. And they just didn't seem to be interested, or maybe they were just too busy, or both. But I'm just saying, we're hankering for affection. I mean, maybe you folks aren't, because you're all married and you all get affection. but the point that
You could argue that it's something that comes with maturity, and just leave it at that as you advance, in inverted commas, along the path, that you're able to reflect more and take the time to really absorb these instructions and then find them in your life. I mean, we were young and we were very, very neophyte, etc., etc. But so that's my point about as you mature, it's easier to get it and to have those things happen. That's my experience.
Easier to get the affection or to get?
Yes, both, to get the understanding and to then lean into the practices that are being implied that one should embrace, the give and take, and the gifts, and the confidential revealing of the mind, etc., etc. I think it's easier when you're older. What do you think, Parvatrini?
Yeah, I agree.
Then Yeah, so devotees, they will not feel satisfied without affection. And so then Barijan tells a story about some devotee that left the movement. And um, I didn't get the full statement by Prabhupada, but it was something, Prabhupada said something about it appears that he did not take. A devotee left the movement, and Prabhupada was saying, it appears he did not take. And Barijan said, well, Prabhupada, I don't think it's like that. And Prabhupada said, we want them to take our rules and regulations. He said like that. That it seemed that he failed to take, or yeah. I'd have to go back and listen to it. But he said Prabhupada sort of set a trap for him, that no, we want them to take our rules and regulations. And his point being that people should not come to Krishna consciousness to take material things. Like Prabhupada once, I heard he once said, so many of my disciples, they don't want to go back to Godhead. They want to go to the higher planetary systems.
Hmm. I think there was another incident where somebody left, and then when he came back, I think this was Prabhupada, Prabhupada said, how did I offend you?
That was Gaura Chandra Prabhu, Gaura Sundar. Shruti Kirti tells the story that Gaura Sundar had sold the temple and he went up to live on the mountain.
Yeah.
At least this is the way Shruti Kirti tells it. And then Prabhupada went looking for Gaura Sundar, and he didn't even chastise him. What he did, he just said, how have I offended you? What did I do to offend you that you've gone away? And I was like,
Aw.
wow.
Well,
But then Shruti Kirti said when Prabhupada got back later, when they left, he said, oh, Gaura Sundar, he is just a nonsense. Tell him that, though. Another point is that if we don't, like sometimes devotees complain, wow, in our temple, devotees are not very affectionate, or I've been to a bunch of temples and devotees are not very loving. And the point that Barijan made, that we all have heard Prabhupada say, is that you should do better, that you should be the example of one who's giving more affection and giving more.
Absolutely. Physician, heal thyself.
Yeah.
yes.
I was told by Kavi Chandra, and when he was married, and his wife, that they received a letter from Srila Prabhupada, and he said, if you can't have love and affection for your wife or your husband, how do you think you can have love and affection for Krishna?
Wow.
Yeah, but I don't, that was in 73 or 2. Oh, 72. So
We
I
get
don't
we
remember.
get to practice with one another.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the position of humility, isn't it? Especially if, somebody else is rather cold or overbearing or whatever it is, a quality that we find kind of repugnant. But, the Trinadapi approach is to, offer prasad and try and exchange, whether the person sort of, receives or not, I suppose.
Yeah, and not always try to be on the receiving end. Like, okay, Prabhu, it says you're supposed to give gifts in charity. Where's my gift? No, we should be thinking, what gifts am I giving?
But also one thing I noticed too is it talks about the sadhu, so it's important the higher association by which we can reveal our minds to our heart, open our hearts to the
Well, that was
sadhu.
the tool Krishna Prabhu was making. My Bhakti Shastri teacher, when I went to Mayapur 2008. I figured out by living in a van and not having a rent to pay anywhere, I could go and stay in India later because I had no address. I just parked my van for months. I paid, $150 to park my van, and I just went and studied Bhakti Shastri for 6 months there. But the point that Krishna Prabhu was making is, okay, we say confidentially inquiring and revealing one's mind in confidence. But the problem is, we may have experienced that by revealing our mind in confidence, say to a temple authority or to whoever, they may betray that confidentiality, and therefore it becomes more difficult for us to open up, to reveal our minds and our hearts, because people betray us, right?
Well, I don't think it's a question of revealing your mind in the hierarchy. I think one becomes, again, more astute as you get older, as to, what is the trusted, advanced, quote unquote, Vaishnava, and I think, yeah, I mean, you don't lay everything at people's feet. You're making your philosophical inquiries in this context.
I remember Rupanuga Prabhu back in '76 when he was our GBC in Ottawa in Eastern Canada. He said when Srila Rupa Goswami is talking about revealing your mind in confidence or confidentially inquiring, he's talking about the Rasa Leela and very high topics. But he said generally with us, it's like, well, Prabhu, I'm still struggling with this regulated principle. And I mean, that's the kind of level a lot of us are still on.
That's more in making friendships on an equal level, to my mind.
Right.
That's another thing. But the point, the pariprashnena here, as far as I understand it, is that, yes, you're reaching into the deeper levels with someone that you really can tell is walked before you on that level.
Another point made was that what we do should be expressed with affection, and not with a business mentality, with the idea that I'll give, but or I've given you so much, and like, how come you're not reciprocating with me? That's in the mode of passion, right? Charity in the mode of passion. You're giving with the expectation of receiving.
It's pretty ignorant, really. Yeah.
Another point is we don't necessarily feel affection for all, but we may feel affection for some devotees, but not necessarily feel it for all devotees. But then I got the idea that, but with prasadam distribution, you can liberally give out that affection to everybody. Like if you're in the prasadam distribution line, it's just giving affection to one after the next after the next. Right?
Yeah.
But you also have to receive prasadam.
Well,
It's an exchange. It's give and take.
Mhm.
So you're avoiding the interaction of receiving prasadam if you're just serving out prasadam.
True. Yeah. My problem though is more on that I've received more prasadam and it shows than I've distributed. So I need to be distributing it a lot more than receiving it.
I distribute to my neighbors. Actually, my neighbors have all had Mahaprasadam.
Nice.
That's rather a nice feeling.
Yeah.
And then, so in this Nectar of Instruction class, because Buri John divides it into part A and part B, he said everyone's homework assignment for the next session was when they would come back for the next class, everyone had to bring prasadam for everybody else. That was part of the assignment in the class. Everyone must bring prasadam. Yeah.
And one time, yes, Sri Kirti has one time Jamuna cooked for him.
Oh.
Yes.
Yeah.
The
Reading?
Prabhupada said like that because she has cooked for you, now you must cook for her.
Yeah.
Nice.
People will be attracted. People like the non-devotees, they'll be attracted when they see the loving exchanges between us devotees.
I've actually experienced that in the local mats, which is a very, I think I've said this before, it's a very prominent mood that is expressed, that's come from Govinda Maharaj in the Chaitanya Saraswat Mat. That's the first foot they put forward. You feel this tremendous affection. In fact, my god sister who died last year, I've forgotten her name. What's her name?
Sarvani.
Sarvani? What?
No. Oh God, she was for years at the Mart there. But anyway, I used to go during
She
the
was
pandemic.
married. She had a different name with Prabhupada, and she was married to Rishikapi, who passed away several
Yes, I
years
think
ago.
so.
Yeah, I forgot her name. I thought it
forgotten
was
her name.
Sarvani.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I would go during the pandemic, and there would be no one around. She'd be in the kitchen, and she was just so affectionate. And she'd rush in the back and get this. She used to cook innumerable loaves of banana bread, which everybody got. The FedEx man, the doctors, the whole of SoCal, I think, got this banana bread. And it was like liquid affection. Even when I would drive away with this loaf of bread, I just felt this enormous affection from this person, and it increased my Krishna consciousness. I have to say, just that act, helped my Krishna consciousness so much. I started becoming way more attracted on different levels just because of that affection. And when I've taken people there who have never been to a Krishna temple before, and I've taken quite a few people in the last year, that's the remark they make. They say, "Oh, I really love this place. They're so kind."
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, we had a similar experience in our neighborhood here when Srila Narayan Maharaj came and stayed with us. There were, like his entourage, there was Vrinda and Brajnath, a married couple, and then Madhava was his sannyas, and Budar, a Prabhupada disciple who does astrology, and there was Yogamaya, whose husband was Haley Mills' son. He's
really?
a devotee, and he had a famous band,
Crispian Mills.
Crispin Mills.
Oh God, I'm amazed you're saying that. Gosh, okay.
Oh yeah. So anyway, so there was quite a number of people with him, and we would invite all the neighbors over, and they'd come meet him. And one particular neighbor was a chiropractor, and it was so sweet. He came over to give treatment to Narayan Maharaj, and we called him Guru Day. And he's calling out, "Dave, are you here?" But
that's right.
But
anyway,
that's classic.
That later on, when they left or something, or they were going somewhere, and he said, "I would go anywhere those people are. Those are the sweetest devotees." Wow. He called them. He didn't mean out of devotee. We were calling them devotees. He goes, "Those devotees are the sweetest people I've ever met."
And he treated everybody for free.
Yeah.
Of course,
But he wasn't the only one that made that comment. Everyone in the neighborhood wasn't just impressed by the pure devotee guru. They were impressed by the people with him. They were so affectionate to everyone.
The point that Buri John Prabhu was making is that there may be a better chance of experiencing that affectionate atmosphere in a smaller temple as compared to a much bigger temple.
Oh, that's true. Except did you know Jayananda?
Only through what I've heard from.
Oh,
Yeah.
Jayananda made a few thousand people feel like an intimate small group and everyone loved each other.
Wow.
And everybody thought, oh, Jayananda, he's my best friend.
Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing. And the next point is so this one of the devotees that was attending this seminar. This sounds like it's from the 80s or early 90s. He's actually from Montreal. And, he was saying, well, I visited a few temples and, I don't find that, so much affection and that mood. And Burijan makes the point that he said the reason the Montreal temple was a wonderful temple many years ago was because of the mood that the leader set. That the leader, he spreads the mood. If you have a qualified leader, then he can create a very loving mood amongst the devotees. And I'm actually here speaking to you right now because I met that leader. I was coming home from playing a gig at 3 a.m. The gypsy woman told my mama, and this fellow standing on the corner, hey, what kind of acts are you playing? It was Nandi Keshwar Prabhu. I had heard.
Oh,
yes.
Nandi Keshwar.
3 members of a very talented jazz rock band called Waskana out of Regina. I'd heard that they had met some kind of a swami. I didn't know what a swami was. I thought it was a guy with a turban or something. The members of this band met a swami in a blue school bus. It was Subal Swami, and he had preached to them, and they were all George Harrison fans. And they all surrendered and they all became devotees. And so there I was. And Nandi Keshwar at that time used to play 2 saxophones like Roland Kirk and Ornette Coleman, these jazz cats from New York City. So he used to be one of those people. And he called me. He knew how to catch me. Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. You just get on their wavelength, right? Hey, what kind of acts are you playing, man? And I thought, wow, like he looked like he got off his flying saucer because he had, shaved head and just like looked like one big sheet over him with the racing stripes up his forehead, the tilak at 3.
Racing stripes.
And I didn't know what he was, but he talked my language. Hey, what kind of acts you playing, man? And I'm like, wow, he's cool. So I brought over my guitar. It's an Epiphone Riviera. It's like George Harrison and Keith Richards plays. Oh, did you know George Harrison's into Hare Krishna? Yeah. Well, I got the Radha Krishna Temple album. I burn incense. I put my black light on, and I chant Om, and I'm trying to learn how to meditate and get into it. And he said, why don't you come to our Sunday Love Feast? And then the next week he said, we're going to meet Srila Prabhupada in Chicago. You want to come? It was a 13-hour drive. 13-hour drive. And Krishna, I was frustrated because I was trying to get a lot of gigs for our band, but for some reason it was a slow season and I just couldn't get enough work because the drummer he was older and he wanted more money and he was always pressuring me, get us more work. So finally I just said, look, it's a really dead season. Do you mind? I want to go with these Krishnas to Chicago because I want to meet Muddy Waters, B.B. King, and Bhaktivedanta Swami. Is that okay? Yeah, you can go for a little while. It was Nandi that drove me. Yeah. And I'm eternally indebted to him. Unfortunately, he had some unpleasant experiences with the whole zonal acharya thing. And, he started his own center. And yeah, it's painful to see how some godbrothers have, become a little discouraged to stay in the institution. But I mean, everyone finds a way to survive, right? So another point was that it's not easy to obtain a soft, affectionate heart. So we should become that person that expands that affection. He was saying political backbiting ruins the atmosphere.
Duh.
Yeah.
Your association with persons, you tend to want to associate with persons who have what you want. The essence of the Krishna consciousness movement is there in these 6 loving exchanges. The essence of the Krishna consciousness movement is not managerial structures, Bari John Prabhu said. It's these 6 loving exchanges. Um, we may feel, he was saying, yeah, we may feel challenged to reveal our mind because of a breach of trust to the leaders that we've opened our heart to. And he was saying, I can't even make out my chicken scratch here. Well, his point. Oh, now Atul Krishna was saying devotees can train to become effective counselors, and I'd love to take Nanda Patni's course because she's actually trained to be a counselor.
What on earth does he mean by that? What's he saying there?
That in order to confidentially inquire from and to reveal your mind with confidence, that if
Get busted.
a good leader is someone who's a good listener and,
Mhm.
and keep confidentiality. And so this requires foundational listening skills. We have a tendency to quickly give advice to devotees. If a devotee starts opening their heart to us, well, Prabhu, you just have to improve your sadhana, chant better japa, and have a better devotional life, without thoroughly listening to someone and understanding their circumstance. Just chant Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Chant and be happy. While someone's like trying to open their heart and express why they're struggling, why they're having a problem.
I think it takes much more discernment. Like, I think what you're addressing there is more on a friendship level, and that friendship, if it's a genuine friendship, then it can be trusted. And even if one is betrayed, because it's the nature of the material world, I mean, you just leave that association, and you move on. You gravitate with eagerness on your path to find that really great association. It's like you were quoting the verse, Dadami Buddhi Yogam Tvam, that Krishna will guide you, even if you've taken a few slaps with a wet fish, there's no time to waste here. There's no time to waste. You've got to be a bit of an eager beaver,
Uh-huh.
For trusted association.
The devotee being heard should feel that the other person is really listening to them and thoroughly understands their circumstances and is being empathic with me. Then we're able to trust, and then we're able to take advice from the devotee that is offering to help us. We can provide counseling to leaders we can provide training to leaders to become effective listeners, and then Guya Makyati Prichiti can take place. It can be more effectively practiced. So this is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stated in every town and in every village, the chanting of the Lord's names can be heard. So we can align ourselves in a Paramahansa society and help each other in Krishna consciousness. These are the methods. He was saying that preaching Krishna consciousness means, when we're preaching Krishna consciousness, we're actually facilitating these 6 loving exchanges. That's what preaching Krishna consciousness means. To be facilitating. I never heard that before, but I thought, yeah, that makes sense.
It's in lots of purports in the Bhagavatam.
Uh-huh.
Prabhupada very proudly talks about how the society that he's set up is for this.
Yes.
It's in many of his purports. I always find it really sweet when I come across it.
Yeah, regarding eating outside, like Bhakti Bhojayati Chaiva, it can contaminate us because of the material consciousness of the people who prepared the food. Only in extraordinary circumstances we might eat outside sometimes. He was saying regarding, giving gifts in charity, or accepting and giving gifts. There's many wonderful projects to contribute to, even one's home. If we're doing programs from our home, we can encourage the congregation to contribute earnings, which purifies their earning. And the last little point that came to my mind, I wish I would have known about this in married life, because maybe I wouldn't have had to have gone through 2 divorces. But there's a gentleman by the name of Gary Chapman who in 1992 wrote a book called The Five Love Languages. And I was thinking, well, ultimately it must be coming from Rupa Goswami. The point being that each of us perceive feeling loved um, in different ways according to our nature. And so the 5 ways that people perceive love is words of affirmation. 2, giving somebody quality time. 3, physical touch, like a hug. 4, acts of service. And 5, receiving gifts. So, like for me, I remember mom's homemade soup. For me, that was like love in a bowl. But if you marry somebody that never cooks or doesn't like to cook, then you may find yourself frustrated because someone may be of the mindset that when someone gives me a bowl of soup, that's liquid love, and somebody else may like, no, that's not love to me. Love is something else. So I'm just thinking this is. I mean, I know it sounds a little mundane, but I'm just saying. Even Lord Chaitanya, when he was serving prasadam to the devotees, he would give each devotee the particular kind of prasadam that they were particularly fond of. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that feeling loved or loving others is personal, and you have to understand what it is that helps that individual to experience affection or love. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's what affection is.
Being tuned in enough to another person.
Yeah.
Once you, yeah.
Go
About
ahead.
the food,
I'm done.
there
You have,
was
go ahead.
about the prasad or food offer, that we should be careful who we eat, what we eat.
Yeah.
And so we were given Prabhupada in California, San Diego, that there was this company that just happened to be the only one that in those days we call it natural food. Then later on became organic. Anyhow, it was very good quality bread. It was manufactured, so devotees would think about it. Oral wheat it was called. Anyhow, Prabhupada said, at one point, this I think was Nanda Kumar told me this because he came with Prabhupada to our house.
It was in San Diego.
It was in San Diego, actually. They gave him the bread.
I think Nanda Kumar gave him.
And Nanda was always trying, like he get fed Prabhupada mushrooms one time. I says, Prabhupada, those were mushrooms. I said, oh, man, it's okay. Those are veggies. But Prabhupada said, please, that bread you gave me you've been given, or you gave me yesterday. He said, I don't want it anymore because I had nightmares.
Really?
And,
Wow.
yeah, he proceeded to tell him that actually when they cook, especially grains, will absorb their thoughts, and even will absorb their thoughts and also their past actions that have, they're with them. So he said, he explained to us about that, especially grains.
I've heard that before. One interesting story is where Prabhupada's at a life membership home, some life members or people that are going to become life members, and they're having dinner, and one devotee whispers to Prabhupada, Prabhupada, there's onions in this food. And Prabhupada goes, be quiet. He shuts the devotee up. Don't be a fanatic, he says to him. And in other words, don't make your guest, don't make your host feel uncomfortable, and make a whole scene.
Right. Yeah.
Of course, the
So
Prabhupada is like that we should eat onions every day because of that.
I know some people, they have to be so careful. They start the astrology, ninth canto, you read, astrology is science, and it could be used very well for the purpose of training children. I mean, if you know what their inclinations are, guna karma, and like that, you don't waste time, and you can be more selective. In the West, we have one size fits all. You have to adapt to,
Right.
and for marriage, Prabhupada mentions. So then, fast forward, and we're in Montreal, and devotees were like casting charts to see if they could go out distributing books that day or not, if it was an auspicious day or
What?
not to go out and distribute books. And they were saying, well, Bhaktisiddhanta was using, astrology and like that. So Prabhupada had to like calm down and, on them, and they said, no, clarify the situation. So sometimes like that for personal instructions, it's not that I didn't believe Vishwakarma. He was so angrily thinking, I'm telling you the truth. Yes, I believe you.
That was his truth.
Prabhupada.
Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
That was his truth. There was a letter that Prabhupada wrote to him, but he didn't write it to the entire movement.
Exactly. So, we have to be, how we say, use our discrimination, like Nanda was saying.
And also, I'm sorry for interrupting. Forgive me. There was a context again. Because if I remember correctly, Ban Maharaj had visited Toronto, and he was not speaking in a very supportive way of Prabhupada, and I believe he reinitiated Rishikesh Ananda, and Prabhupada even said, called him a black snake. But of course, at the end, Prabhupada said, "All my God brothers went back to Godhead." So,
Yeah, that was years ago.
yes.
Right. Bhavatrini explained to me, I'm sorry, Bhavatrini explained to me afterwards, said, so, this could be because Bon Maharaj was there in Canada and he was doing, he wasn't acting very nice.
Well, that's the thing, like Prabhupada said, you have to be careful with Ban Maharaj. But then in the end, he had him come, he came and visited Srila Prabhupada before he left. And then he spoke at Prabhupada's Tirobhav festival ceremony. And Pita's mistaken, he's saying that he spoke in Hindi. He was one of the only people that spoke in English. And he did sound a little jealous of Srila Prabhupada, but he swallowed his pride. He said, oh, the amazing thing he did isn't that he made so many disciples. He preached to the hippies. I myself would not preach to the hippies. He said, but his books, he said, what he has done, and he was saying, these books will be for the next 10,000. He just went on and praised Srila Prabhupada's book.
Nice. Yeah.
But the funny thing about that, though, is that there are just loads and loads and loads of purports where Prabhupada explains that it's not about the qualification of the person you're preaching to, and that Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda are giving their mercy in this Kali Yuga to absolutely anyone, hippie or not hippie. And that's the thrust of
Nityananda and Haridas Thakur were the pioneers. So
yeah, like we were saying the other night, even if you didn't want it, Nityananda was giving it to you.
Right. That's true. Yeah. But the thing with Ban Maharaj, when he said that, it sounded like he was saying he was really terrible. And I think he realized it. When he said, I wouldn't have preached to the hippies, he must have realized he sounded really pompous. Because then after that, he started praising Srila Prabhupada.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But he didn't have a chance to preach to the hippies. I think, isn't he the one that almost got killed by the Nazis?
Yeah.
There were no hippies to preach to where he went.
Gosh. He was interfacing with the fascists. Gosh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can I ask you a real quickie, Bhavatrini? Because years and years ago, when I was married to Jaya Jagadish and we were running the radio station, we did interviews in London, and we interviewed Hayley Mills. We actually went to lunch at her house.
Yes.
And this, I think, was probably before she had a child. I can't remember. It was like 1984.
Oh no,
he's a little older, so he might have been.
So she was. No, he was probably at school. Yeah. So that's interesting. Yeah. So he was just spending time in Hawaii there.
We met him at all the festivals. And
He was a disciple of Narayan Maharaj's.
Really?
he is.
Okay.
Yeah.
He is. And so he went to all the festivals.
But
And
he also went to, his mother sent him to the Vaishnava school in England.
Oh, at Crome Court.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we know one of the boys now is a grown-up man. He said he went to school together with Krishna Kanta, Crispian. Yeah.
That's so fascinating. She at the time was, can't remember if she took initiation from Bhagavan, but Bhagavan was around right then.
So, yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So that's very
Yeah.
interesting to me.
well, I think
He's an excellent musician and singer,
he's a really
Krishna
nice
Kanta, and very
person, nice
amazing
devotee.
person.
I
So
like,
his name is Krishna Kanta.
yes, and his wife
Okay.
is Yoga Maya, and
And-
she was a model like for face products. She's really beautiful and has beautiful skin, red hair. But she traveled with Narayan Maharaj and his entourage one year, and very, just a devotee, just
Unassuming, nothing, no pratishta there or anything. I'm so and so and like that. Same with
Because
Krishna Kanta.
Haley was her father, John Mills, was a super famous actor, and she was
Yeah.
the kind of Judy Garland of England. She was the childhood actress, and she came on the
We
scene
were raised
about 6.
right.
Pollyanna.
Whistle Down the Wind was the one everyone fell in love with. And she's a very, very lovely person. She was in the news recently, but I can't quite remember what for.
Oh,
But anyway,
Oh.
just before I go, because I've got to go, but I sent you a song that I did, Barbatrini.
oh yeah.
I was upstairs and playing. He came in and I did I snuck in. I said, "Oh, I gotta play this." So I loved it. But
Yes, it was my antidote to war the other morning.
Yes,
Yeah.
excellent.
I haven't seen it yet because
it
the
very
last heard it. I haven't heard it because the last couple of days I've been leaving my phone on the top floor and going down and taking care of things, and I haven't looked at my phone.
Count on me.
Yeah,
But
answering
I
service.
heard about it
You're holding
from Hari. He really appreciates it. So when we finish this program, I will
All right.
get a chance.
That's great.
I want to hear it too, please.
I think I sent it to you. Did I send it to you in an email?
Not the
Not that one. I sent you one from Golden Moon, actually, because I suddenly found out how to put the MP3 in an email. So I sent that maybe last night to you. This was the album that I was recording with Mangala in Badger in
Oh, are you on the Golden? Are you on Golden?
Yeah. No, I'm
Oh,
keyboard,
those three voices.
No, there's
synthesizer, and I'm the
Nilachalana.
lower voice. In the 3-part harmony, I'm the low voice.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it was
We used to have
Mangala.
that tape.
I can't remember the other devotee.
What's her name? Married to
Nilachala,
Nilachala, Pushpanjali. Do you remember?
Mangala,
I don't
Pushpanjali.
remember the others.
Pushpanjali.
I was glued at the hip to Mangala, and I kind of came in at the last second. And I play music by
Okay.
ear, so I just got thrown into the studio that day. And
Okay.
that's the way that happened. But it was a
I
very
like that.
pretty album. It stands the test of time amazingly.
It does.
Yeah.
Um,
One beautiful album that also talking about Krishna Kanta he made with Chrissy Hines. I don't know if you knew.
Yeah, she's famous.
Very
Yeah.
famous.
Yeah.
Yeah, we made friends with them, and one night we actually played together for a play in Badger, New Braj, and Sri Maharaj was so happy.
What was the album?
The album is The School of Braj. It's called.
Oh, okay.
And he recorded the second generation of devotees, and he has a track or two with Chrissy Hines.
Uh-huh.
Jai Radha Ramana Haribo.
Oh, that's what Sri Dandi Maharaj sings all the time. Jaya
Okay.
Radha Ramana Haribo.
Ramana Haribo.
Yeah. I love that
Uh,
melody.
Okay, if you want, just see if you can get hold of that. If not, I
Yeah.
think we had a pile. We had them at our store. We distribute those.
We have some here. at the
Yeah, maybe we
house,
should send you. We should
CDs.
send you the CD.
It's a book. It's
It's a-
not
it's a
just
booklet.
Okay.
book. It's a book with a
And then-
hardcover, and the CD goes in.
I sent Nicholila, I sent her my doodlings on the piano. She loves them. And so the night before last, she sent me this really old track from Manglananda, from one of the Average Souls off the album Average Soul.
Oh yes, yes.
And oh my gosh, I put this thing on and I just went back to hours and hours and hours. We used to play that album because we sold literally thousands of them. And I was on the road in Canada in a van for 3 years. And sometimes we would drive like 100 miles in a day. And if we weren't having Gita Shloka battles, then we were listening to that album. And the other album called Change of Heart, there is the distant land called Sway to Tweed, and all those. I mean,
I love that one.
Wonderful. He's so wonderful. And I checked him out now, and he's the most incredible guitarist, finger picker. And he still is singing the most wonderful songs to Prabhupada and Krishna.
He wrote a beautiful one to George Harrison.
He has a band. He with his late wife. He put together like a trailer, like old-fashioned little stage that opens up like the stage.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's traveling again after all these years. He used to travel with his late wife and
Jamini. She's the one that wrote the New Vrindavan songs, like Govardhan Hill, Govardhan Hill. Lots of Vrindavan is such a nice place. No, that's Gauri.
Right, I'm sorry.
She did the one about the birth of Lord Krishna that's like a really long, tells the whole story, like a rock opera thing.
Amazing.
We're
he
good
looks
friends.
like a real professional guitarist. I think he probably made a profession in that by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. He did all the, then he went after, when I met him in 74, he was in San Diego and he didn't want anything to do with music or anything. He just cooked.
Mm.
Very, very nice.
He seems like a lovely devotee,
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah, he is.
I was with him in the traveling roadshow when it began.
Nice.
And
I mean, those early days when you actually hear that 70s music, it's real kind of like Crosby, Stills and Nash. You go, whoa, here we go.
So he back then in 71, he decided that he didn't want to do music. He wanted to be the cook for the traveling roadshow. So for a brief time, I became the lead singer for the whole show. And the men didn't like it, so it didn't last very long.
Well,
And then
I think it was quite clever. She dodged that bullet. She just sort of privately did her own thing, and it was very, 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 very potent.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, well, thanks for chatting, Prabhus. Gaura, I'm going to say good night, and Krishna Chandra.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
See you Monday, Krishna willing, Krishna.
Yes.
Okay.
Krishna willing.
Night.
Haribo.
Haribo.